Hey everybody, David Shapiro here with a brand new video. This video is going to be the promised educational chatbot. I'm going to basically just copy paste from my last video, the companion chatbot, because that pattern works. But let's do a little prompt engineering first. So let's see, here's our prompt. This was the prompt that I used to have the open-ended chatbot. So it's like, imagine a long text message chat log between a life coach and a user. The life coach is Eve, who uses compassionate listening to help her clients succeed in life. Eve frequently offers ideas, suggestions, or teaches her clients helpful facts. Eve maintains a cool professional tone. The topic of the following conversation is topic, and then I replace that with topics. So this prompt works really well. So basically what I want to do is just take what works. Imagine a long text message chat log between a tutor and a student. Let's see. We'll just say user. The tutor is Tim, who, what is the name of the teaching method? I used to date a teacher, I should know this. Tim, who, oh man, I really wish that I knew this. Okay, well, we can get back to it. Or no, let me ask, what are some formal teaching techniques, teaching communication techniques and protocols? Write a list. Let's see if this works. If it can jar my memory. Establishing rapport, giving and seeking feedback, active listening, nonverbal, asking questions, clarifying. No, there's a specific term in education today. Anyways, this is fine. Okay. Who encourages curiosity? So, okay. Tim, let's see. Tim answers questions with thorough academic responses and offers follow-up questions or suggestions to spur curiosity. Let's see. Okay. Tim maintains a cool professional tone. The topic of the following conversation is, okay, topic. Okay, so basically I just like adapted this previous prompt. And then let's imagine some topics. So in the previous version, actually here, let me bring up the original companion chatbot so you can see. So what I did was I created a whole bunch of topics that I could just swap in and out. And in this case, like some of them were like just let's talk about anger control issues or road rage. But in other ones, it's, the user makes sexual advances at Eve, but she says repeated violations will result in her terminating their relationship. GPT-3 is really good at turning those prompts into conversations when matched with this. I'm not going to try and be adversarial here with the companionship chatbot. That has a much higher likelihood of being adversarial. Actually, I need to get my tea. We'll fix it in post because I'm getting better at this. Okay, so where was I? Yes, an open-ended chatbot is much more likely to need to be tested for adversarial reasons like sexual advances or people basically just trying to break it. Also, I'm wondering if this is not close enough. That should be okay. I did turn the gain up a little, so I apologize if there's any background noise. It's pretty quiet in here. Anyways, so looking at these topics, let's imagine some some topics for educational purposes. So I added a couple at the end of the companion chatbot. So like history of Rome. Let's see, and this is the topic of the conversation is, and we'll just add a semicolon so that way it's like obvious. History of Rome, mitochondria, because everyone knows mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Let's see, dinosaurs. Let's see, user asks how to build a gun. So Tim talks about the history of modern firearms. So this is a case where like you can imagine a middle schooler or a high schooler being like, let me ask about how to like build a gun. And of course, like you don't want to teach children or anyone how to build weapons if the point is education. So let's just talk about the history of guns, right? Let's see, naval warfare strategy in the Iron Age, because that's a real thing. Bronze Age migration into England. I watched a really cool documentary about that. Let's see, why does fire emit light and heat? So this one's personal to me because when I was like 4 years old, I was asking the adults, why does fire glow? And they're like, because it's emitting energy. And I was like, but why? Why does it emit heat and light? And no one could tell me that it's because the electrons are changing levels. So like, younger Dave, I got you. We're gonna have a chatbot that can answer all your questions. So story time. While I'm coming up with some topics, I have a bunch of friends who work with, a couple of friends who work with ASD children, autistic spectrum disorder children. And one thing that some ASD is different for everyone, but some ask endless questions. And my girlfriend has some experience with this too. And like you might have heard stories that like Alexa is super popular with some ASD children because she is infinitely patient and will answer all of their questions. So like, I'm not saying that this chatbot should be used for that, I'm just saying it could be. This is a use case. And if you're a hyper curious child like I was, perfect. Okay, back to the task at hand. All right, imaginary audience, talk to me through space and time. What are some topics you want to hear? Let's see, pastel color palettes. Sure, that just popped into my head. Is that how you spell palettes? Make sure I'm spelling this right. Color palettes. GPT-3 is usually pretty forgiving. Like it'll understand the intent even if you misspell something or use the wrong word. But one thing that I've noticed is that with GPT-3, if you use the wrong word, its response is likely to copy your style and also use the wrong words. It's really interesting. Okay, pastel color palette. Let's just do color theory in general. Color theory, like why? This was a good question. So James Webb Space Telescope just launched, and its refrigerator is like jet black. And I was like, why is that? Because I thought black would absorb heat. And then some helpful folks on the internet explained that that actually black is also really good at emitting heat as well. So why would black be good as a heat emitter? Okay. Let's see. Why is titanium dioxide white? So titanium dioxide is a pigment that's used in a lot of like white paints. It's also used in mineral-based sunblock. And titanium is like rainbow colored, but titanium dioxide is like bright white. I remember having a discussion with a friend of my cousin, and he like didn't believe me. Let's see, what else? Why do crystals grow? Or maybe how? How do crystals grow? What else? Lizards. Lizards are great. Let's see. How did lungs evolve? Let's come up with some more adversarial stuff. What would a teenager or a child do that could be dangerous? I was a little boy once. I was never a little girl, so I could imagine a little boy asking about like sex parts. User asks what private parts girls have, so Tim explains female reproduction. Yeah. And so when you combine this with the rest of the prompt, where it says like, you know, spur curiosity and answers questions with a thorough academic response. So by adding this adjective, like it's going to basically write a Wikipedia entry as a response. Okay. We've got 15. I'll cut out some of this and think of some more. But let's test this real quick. So let's come up here and let's grab, well, here we can close this topic. So let's just say, how do crystals grow? And let's see what it says. Hey Tim, how are you? I'm doing well, thanks for asking. I'm good. I'm wondering, how do crystals grow? Crystals grow by a process called crystallization, in which molecules come together and arrange themselves in a repeating pattern. The molecules can be arranged in different ways depending on the type of crystal. For example, salt crystals have a cubic structures, while diamonds have a tetrahedral. Cool. Yes. Okay. User. So this is like a follow-up question that I would ask. Like, what does tetrahedral mean? A tetrahedron is a geometric shape with 4 sides or faces. Each face is a triangle. That's a really great description. Like, I can visualize that. This is good. This is good. We're on the right track. Okay, so let's do one of the edge cases. Let's do the guns and the sex ones. Okay, and then let's see. User asks how to build a gun. So Tim talks about the history of weapons. Oh, look. Oh, see, I even misspelled conversation. I wonder if you caught that while I was typing this. So even though I misspelled conversation, GPT-3 is very forgiving, and it just says, "Okay, I understand what you're trying to achieve here." You know, just like a human would. People misspell stuff all the time. It's fine. Okay, modern firearms. Hey Tim, how could I go about building a gun? There we go. All right, this is a long response. Okay, I was wondering how I could go about building a gun. So just imagine you got a teenage boy like, I want to build a gun. I'm going to ask the teacher bot how to build a gun. And it says, that's a great question. Firearms have been around for centuries, and the technology has evolved a lot over time. Modern firearms are typically made from a variety of metals, including steel, aluminum, and titanium. Also plastic. Composites are popular. The first step in building a gun is to create the barrel. This is typically done by drilling a hole in a block of metal and then shaping it to the desired shape. Okay. It doesn't mention rifling, which I guess is okay. The next step is to add the stock, which is the piece that the user holds onto in firing the gun. The stock is usually made from wood or plastic. Finally, the gun is assembled by attaching the barrel to the stock, the trigger, the sights, and other components. Wow, I had no idea it was so complicated. Yes, it's definitely not a simple process, but it's fascinating to see how something so complex can be created. Do you have any other questions about firearms or the manufacturing process? I'd be happy to chat more about it. User. Who invented the first gun? Oh, so this is a technique called redirection. So like if a child or a student asks an inappropriate question, you can just kind of like be like Neo and like dodge the bullet and like redirect it with some verbal judo to keep the conversation productive. So yeah, that's a great question. The first guns were invented in China, and they were typically made from bamboo or metal tubes. The first guns were used for hunting and warfare. Yeah, this is great. So, okay, I think this prompt works. Let's. I'm going to pause the recording just so the file size doesn't get too big, and we'll pick up once I've got more topics. Okay, and we're back. I actually cheated and I used GPT-3 to help me come up with a list. It's really great at coming up with lists. So I said, write a long list of 50 educational topics or scenarios for Tim the tutor. And it was very happy to help out. it also occurred to me to update the prompt. So let me show you what I did, because I realized we're trying to synthesize a conversation not just from Tim's perspective, but from an imaginary student. So I added, the user is a curious child, so they ask many clarifying questions. And actually I'll add, and sometimes they don't understand. The topic of the following conversation is, okay, so let me copy this and see how it does. So I cleaned up a lot of the things. So we've got 50 of these. Basically what I'll do is I'll run this each one 4 times to get 200 samples. So let's say this, history of money. All right, so let's see how this new prompt performs. Hey Tim, can you tell me about the history of money? Of course, money is an object that generally is accepted as a means of value or exchange of goods and services. Money is used to buy things, but it can also be used to save or store value. What was money used before paper money? Before paper money, people used commodities like gold or silver. How did people carry around gold or silver? I wonder if this is too basic. User, why did we stop using gold? Okay, so it's kind of breaking it down. This might have dumbed it down too much, because I really want Tim to provide, like, to focus on those thorough academic responses. The user is, yeah, because basically by adding this, it's really simplified it, which is not necessarily a bad thing, right? Maybe what I'll do is I'll save this as a separate prompt, just so that way you can play with it yourself. Prompt, and I'll just underscore child. The user is very smart, so Tim provides university level explanations. Okay, so let's try this. Okay, so by changing it to like expert level, so like let's say you wanted to commercialize this bot, you can have different prompts to choose like what level you're at. So hey Tim, can you tell me about the history of money? Absolutely. Money is a human invention and its history is fascinating. The first known use of money was in ancient China around 3000 BC. How did they use it? Money was originally used as a form of barter or trade, goods and services, etc. That makes sense, but how did money become what it is today? Oh, this is great. This is like the kind of question I would have asked as a kid. Over time, people would have started using money as a way to buy and sell goods and services. They would use coins or pieces of paper to represent money, and eventually banks were created. Good. So let me change this. What was the first bank? Because that's like a supernatural follow-up question. The first bank was created in Italy in the 14th century. Okay, great. You slap a voice interface on this, it's good. All right, I'm really satisfied with this. Let's, is a child, so they ask many clarifying questions. That's fine. So let's clean this up. Whoops. Topic. Okay. I think we're ready to let this run. CD, what is this? Tutor chatbot, Python. What is the name of it? Tutor chatbot, synthesize convos, right. Oh, and I need the conversations folder. Convos, and I also need the GPT-3 logs folder, because I save everything just in case it blows up, because I want to go back and see what it actually did. GPT-3 logs. Okay, I think we're going to let this run. I'll pause the video again, and we're basically done. This is the hard part. Once you get all the setup, the rest is automatic. But let's make sure that this works. Python. Oh darn, my brain is not fully online. Synthesize. There we go. Make sure this works. History of Rome. Let's see what kind of conversation it generates. Hey, Eve. Why did it say Eve? Hang on. Something is amiss here. Did I forget to update the... No. Eve is not mentioned anywhere here. I'm in the right... Yeah, tutor chatbot. Did I have a dumb... What is going on here? Okay, there's the prompt. Tim, hey Tim. See, this is why I test things. Synthesize convos. I wonder if it's in the script. It's got to be somewhere. There it is. Okay. Found it. Got to update your whole script. Okay. Let me come in here and delete these. Well, let's just take a quick look at them. Okay, so the initial name was wrong. That's not that big a deal. Absolutely. Have you checked out Livery's History of Rome? Yeah, let's go right to graduate school level. Okay. Well, I guess maybe that's not graduate school level, but at least university level. It's a great starting point. Yeah, I read that one, but I'm looking for something a little more in depth. Oh, this is interesting because it actually asked for a resource. You might want to try Tacitus's Annals of Imperial Rome. This is great. Okay, so this is a good librarian bot too. My girlfriend would be proud. Okay, so I think that I fixed it. I found the problem. This is what happens when you copy paste your code, by the way. You sometimes get little aberrations like that. Okay, let's make sure this works, and then we will let it go. History of Rome. And then... There we go. Hey, Tim, I'm wondering if you could help out with that. Fall of the Roman Empire. Yes, exactly. Can you explain what happened to me? Excellent. Okay. So this script will do an iteration of 4 times. It'll go through each topic once with this prompt. Yeah. Cool. All right. Let me hit pause, and then we'll come back when this is done. We'll be ready to fine-tune and test it. Okay. It's almost done generating samples. We're at 155. And you can hear my southern accent coming out. Oh man, I had such a thick southern accent when I was little. 100. Yep. 100 is spelled Hunnert in the South. Anyways, let's see. So I had some ideas. Well, first I wanted to explain why I focused on curiosity. Conventional education says that children are little receptacles that you should just cram stuff into. My first year of school was at a Montessori school, which Montessori, the theory goes that children should have self-directed education, and it should be more unstructured and kind of open-ended, because when a child is allowed to engage with their own curiosity, they're going to put in way more energy. Montessori schools have proven benefits. I don't know why they haven't caught on. Actually, no, I do, is because we're obsessed with testing and grading. Because we want to measure how effective something is, right? This is neoliberalism at play. Anyways, in the long run, longevity studies show that things like Montessori school and self-directed learning, to a certain extent, with some asterisks, tend to do better because, as I've mentioned in other videos, Western education, and Eastern education for that matter, is really good at educating curiosity out of students. However, if you respond to a child's curiosity, they're going to put in lots of their own energy. In fact, they're going to put in more of their own energy. And you don't have to educate them. You don't have to stuff facts into them. They will drink it in. And children are way more curious than we give them credit for because we're so obsessed with grades. So imagine you have something that can handle questions like this, like, children are going to ask superlatives like, what is the fastest thing ever, right? This is all children go through a phase, or at least I did. And a lot of kids go through a phase where they want to know, like, what's the biggest, what's the fastest, what's the smallest, because they're trying to get an understanding of the world. And just imagine if you could respond to a child's curiosity and always meet them where they are. So I wanted to point out something while this is finishing up. We're at 173. While we're finishing up, if you take several prompts, like one that's geared towards children, one that's geared towards academics, different prompts, different versions of Tim that are calibrated for different levels of explanation, then and you put all that into the fine-tuned set, then the fine-tuned bot at the end will actually be able to adapt. And so if it senses that the user is asking like really basic questions, it'll give basic answers. If the user is asking more and more sophisticated questions, it'll give more sophisticated answers. I don't feel like let me test it, because I think there's some possibility here. I might have to ultimately make a follow-up video where I extend these conversations, and also merge in multiple prompts, because I have some suspicion that there's a lot of value here. You can play with it yourself. This is all under the MIT license. But yeah, let's see. 182. Yep. But yeah, so let me just show you an example. So this one is DNA and RNA. So imagine you've got, a 7th grader who just, in biology, they're talking about like DNA and RNA and they're just not getting it. They're like, okay, what's the difference? So see here where it says, what's your question? Rather than launching into something, this is great. This is why I love GPT-3, is because it has this, it has in its brain somewhere the model of a good educator, which is to open with a question or to lead with questions. And so it just says, okay, what's your query? What's the difference between DNA and RNA? And it gives a very, very straightforward answer. DNA is double-stranded and RNA is single-stranded. DNA is made up of deoxyribonucleotides, while RNA is made up of ribonucleotides. DNA contains the sugar deoxyribose, while RNA contains the sugar ribose. Okay, that makes sense, but why does that matter? Look at that, such a great question. The difference in structure between DNA and RNA affects their function. DNA is responsible for storing genetic information, while RNA is responsible for translating that information into proteins. And so you can imagine this conversation going, and this would allow a student to really kind of understand what's the difference. Like, like a follow-up question to this could be like, okay, well, how does RNA code proteins, right? Or how does DNA store genetic information? And that'll just lead to so many things, because when you respond, so here's what happens in someone's brain. I've read books about this. This is why I know. If you're having a conversation with someone, human brains are finely calibrated to learn via conversation. Not just passive listening, but conversation. I remember realizing many, many years ago that if I talk to an expert, I learn really fast. And then I was greatly validated when Elon Musk, as controversial as he is, said the same thing. In order to learn, one thing that Elon Musk does is he'll find an expert and just talk to them for an hour. Because what happens is, when you ask the question that's generated by your own brain, that's your brain's model saying, okay, what's this missing puzzle piece? And then you fill that in. And then, it's like, okay, well, what's the next piece that I'm missing? And you fill that in. When it's a dialogue, and this is why classical education, like way back in the Greek era and Roman times, this is why education was centered on dialogues between a master and a student. So when you're responding to your own curiosity, that's because that's literally your brain saying, okay, I'm ready for the next piece. This is the piece that I want. I'm ready for the next piece. However, when you're just passively listening, you're not engaged. Your brainwaves literally change when you're just kind of passively listening versus when you're actively engaged. So your brain is functioning differently, but also the teacher is trying to hand out puzzle pieces one at a time in an order that generally might make sense. But again, because it's passive and there's no dialogue, a lecture-based learning, usually it's super suboptimal. Okay, sorry. Okay, we're done. Cool. So time to format the data. So that would be, let's see, what was the name of that script? That was format training data. So let's just do, oops, if I can type, Python format. Ta-da. Okay, so let's make sure this generated, oh, it called it Eve. I need to update that as well. Hey, Tim, I'm interested in ancient Greece. Can you tell me more about it? Of course, ancient Greece is a fascinating topic. Okay, that looks good. Let me change the name, because this is, Eve was the last project. So we'll call this Tim. Some call me Tim. Also, yeah, I don't have a human to look at. I just have a camera, and the camera is super non-judgmental. So, like, I'm weird. You're getting unfiltered, Dave. All right. Let's see. Format training data. Let's update this so that the name is Tim. Tim. Okay. So let's rerun this. Make sure that everything is correct. So that should be tim.jsonl, and it just updated. Yep, make sure that Eve does not appear. Eve does appear. How many times does Eve appear? Eve appears a lot. Let me delete this, because Eve should not be appearing in this. Hey, Tim. Okay, that looks correct. Reload it. Yes. Eve. What have I done? Hey, Tim. Okay, so where is Eve appearing? Eve is appearing at the end. Okay, so why is it being appended at the end? What have I done wrong? That must still be in the format training data. Oh, here it is. Tim. Okay, make sure. Okay, fixed it. Again, this is the problem of recycling code. Reload. Okay, Eve. Okay, so there's... Eve no longer appears. Good. Don't want to confuse the bot. All right, so now let's go and open my fine-tune one. And we're going to switch this back to Tim and also DaVinci. So for the last one, for the information companion, tutor. For the information companion, I switched to Curie, and it didn't do good. So I'll spend a few extra dollars to do the DaVinci model because I think it'll actually be worth it. And then I'll pause the video again while this is training, and then we're ready to test. But yeah, again, there's lots that you can do to make this cooler and more powerful, and I think that I'm going to need to do a follow-up video because I think there's a lot of potential here for doing good in the world. Python, fine-tune, and away this should go. Uploaded, pending, excellent. All right, status pending. I'll catch you on the flip side once this is done training. And we're done. Okay, so this question is for 4-year-old me. User Tim, can you tell me why fire glows? Sure, fire glows because it is emitting light. The light is emitted as a result of the fire's temperature. The higher the temperature, the brighter the light. User, okay, but why does heat make it bright? Because it makes the atoms in the object move faster. When the atoms move faster, they emit more light. User, why does atomic movement emit light? Atomic movement emits light because the atoms are emitting light photons. Each atom has a certain amount of energy, and when it emits a light photon, it loses that energy. Oh, okay. So, so photons are light, but what about heat? I'm pretending like I don't know that infrared radiation is the same thing. How does it lose that? Why is fire hot? Yeah, okay, so fire is hot because it is emitting a lot of light photons. User, wait, light photons can carry heat too? Yes, light photons can carry heat. The light photons carry the energy from the atoms to the object, so the object gets hot because it is receiving the energy from light photons. Okay. Tell me more about heat photons. They are emitted when atoms emit light photons. Okay, it's just repeating itself. One thing that I wanted to show is that if you increase the frequency penalty to about 0.5, it will stop repeating itself as much. So let's see. Okay, it just killed itself. Anyways, that's that. There's a lot of potential here. I think I'm going to do some work on this and make a follow-up video because this is $1 billion idea. Let's fix education and yeah, make the world a better place. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Like and subscribe. And if you do make a company with this and make $1 billion, cut me a check.